It's going to be a sweet day here on the Down the Road Travel Channel because today we're heading to the Nashville Fairgrounds for Dessert Wars. Dessert Wars. Dessert Wars. Hey folks, welcome to the Down the Road Travel Channel. My name is Will Van Winkle. Today we're going to be talking about Dessert Wars over at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Now this is a touring competition. March 2nd was in Nashville. April 6th will be in Raleigh, North Carolina. April 13th, Baltimore. April 20th, Philadelphia. Pittsburgh on the 27th. Tampa on June 1st. August 17th, they'll be in Jacksonville. They don't say if it's Mississippi or Florida. And September 14th, Charlotte. And then there's the National Championship, which is on October 19th in Charlotte. So this is the biggest dessert competition in the United States. You get a chance to, on your local competitions, you get a chance to sample desserts from 50 local competitors. They could be cookies, donuts, ice cream, things like that. We saw cobbler, we saw mousse, pudding, cookies, ice cream, and a lot of cake. And there was even the legendary Milkshake Factory. That's, I think, downtown Nashville. First, I want to talk about the ticket prices. Tickets are $60. Now, and then parking is an additional $10 in Nashville. I don't know what it's like in the other competitions, but it's a bit steep for what you're getting into. We walked in there, and for the price, I'm expecting this to be a well laid out, great, just amazing function. And it basically looked like a bunch of folding tables set up in a warehouse. The National Fairgrounds has an expo center. It's a lot of glass and plain concrete floor. Now, I can get the concrete floor because we're walking around with desserts, and you get this to-go container, and you get 30 tickets, and you can sample from the vendors that are there. So people are going to drop something. So you want to keep the floor fairly easy to clean. So no problem there. They had very little theming. The only thing is, when you walked in, you see the stage, a couple of backdrops, and these signs from Vistaprint. How do I know they're signs from Vistaprint? I have one for my music. So when I'm out there playing, I have this retractable sign that I put up next to me. When I was in the band, I didn't have it. I've since dissolved the band, and now I'm doing solo stuff. So I have one of those. They're not that expensive. I know exactly where they came from. It's the exact same stand. So they did not invest any money into this. I don't expect it to be a major production, but I've been to these kind of things before, and this was just sad. There were not 50 vendors, I keep saying vendors, they're competitors. There were not 50 competitors there. So you vote, you get a little wooden chip. You vote for your favorite by putting them into these spray-painted quart-sized milk cartons that were taped or glued to a wall, a movable wall. And that's how they choose the People Choice winners. Okay, the milk cartons are great because it goes with the theming with desserts, because a lot of dessert products have milk in them. So that one I get, and I'll give that to them. It was creative. It was cheap, but creative and well done. But the rest of the place, it was just nothing. Just open and pretty poorly laid out. Now, I don't know if they told the vendors that they had no heating or cooling elements, or if people just didn't read things when they entered the competition. It also doesn't say how much it costs to enter the competition, but I will post a link to where you can sign up for that if you want to do so in the future. But we get there, and items that should have been served warm were room temperature. Items that should have been cold were room temperature. Mousse is okay, but room temperature mousse is kind of gross. So if you're a competitor that has something that really needs to be chilled and you want to enter this, make sure you bring something to chill your items, because you will lose simply because of the fact that your items are not chilled. So at the Nashville competition, they had VIP entry at 3 p.m. and general admission at 4 p.m. Now, I think VIP ticket was an extra $20, so $80 a person. Now, if you think about it and you get 30 tickets and you're paid the general admission $60, that's $2 a sample. However, the samples were very small, maybe about the size of a quarter round, and I'd say maybe an inch thick. So you're not really getting a huge bang for your buck here. We lined up at 3:50 for general admission. Doors open at 4. We were inside and in line by 4:05. Many competitors rather, were starting to run out. So I don't know if the organizers told the competitors how many people to expect. That may have been another issue. I don't know if the competitors or the organizers were to blame for what I can only consider lack of preparation. I can't call it a fiasco. It wasn't a horrible event. It was okay. And it was something different to do. I don't know that I'd ever do it again, especially not for that cost. They boasted 50 vendors. I counted 45 milk cartons. 3 vendors had packed up and left by the time general admission opened up. So I'm guessing they just completely ran out of stuff. Now I want to talk about the entertainment. They probably spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $2,500 on entertainment. They had a DJ and they had some dancers. The DJ was a DJ. I mean, he's just playing music over the loudspeaker. It was a little loud. They had absolutely nothing in there to absorb the sound, so it's bouncing all around. I originally planned this video to be a question and answer kind of video where I'm talking to competitors. They're telling me about their products. They're telling me about where they're located so that we can share that information to you, because who doesn't love the idea of dessert? In fact, when we said we were going to go to this, a bunch of our friends on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, were like, I want to go too. And then we told them it's $60. Everybody kind of said, nah, never mind. But a lot of people were interested in this. So you're going to want to, it was too loud in there and the sound was bouncing around like crazy. So I couldn't really interview anybody or talk to anybody about anything. The DJ reminded me of, we'll say he was a reject from Run DMC. He had the stereotypical bucket hat, the jogging suit, tennis shoes. He did have an okay, announcer voice. Little lacking, and I'm sure he was told the type of music he could play, which might have limited him. It wasn't like a creative DJ where he's scratching and doing anything like that. He was just an event DJ where he's playing music and emceeing a little bit, trying to get people up there. The dancers is where I have problems. I can understand the DJ. They could have probably saved about $500 to $1,000 if they just used a playlist and rented a PA, and it would have been just as good. The dancers is where I have a problem. Now, my wife Dana told me just to say the entertainment was lacking. The entertainment wasn't lacking. The entertainment was there. It just sucked. Let me tell you, the dancers were probably the quality of your 8th grade pep squad team. They had no moves. They'd come outside every once in a while. They'd scream. They'd try to get people pumped up. They'd go back inside. And then they danced a little bit, and they just kind of just sat there most of the time. I know they're trying to make this an interactive event. I know they're trying to make this fun for everybody. They would have done better to save that money and put it into some theming, put it on a playlist, every once in a while have an MC up there, especially when they're talking and they're judging. But for the most part, while we were there, the only talking that they did was to try to give away free t-shirts that said Dessert Wars across the front of it. And I'm not going to wear that for what this was. I'm not going to advertise your event if your event is not worth advertising. So I guess saying that I'm making this video, I guess technically I'm advertising it, but that's not the point of the video. The point of the video is to let you know if you're traveling to the area or you live in the area and you think this sounds like a good idea, or any of the areas that are having one of these, you can make a decision on whether or not you go there. Now, we'll on to the food, because the entertainment is not why we went there. The decor is not why we went there. The desserts are why we went there. There were some good ones. There were some duds. Most of them were just okay. There was a lot of cake. And, you know, you think someone's being creative by doing different flavors, and then 2 booths over, and I'm using the term booths here loosely, they have the same flavors. So there's no creativity in that either. I went to one, it was off in the corner. They didn't have a tablecloth there. They had a little sign, probably about the size of a piece of paper, 8 by 11, and they had ice cream. Cool. I'm going to go get some ice cream. They don't have anybody going up to them. I feel a little sorry for them, and it could be the greatest ice cream ever. I don't know. I go over there, and I'm expecting them to give me one of those little cups that you get like ketchup in or something at a fast food restaurant. Instead, she just takes a little tiny plastic spoon about the size that you would get if you go to Baskin-Robbins for a sample, dips it in the ice cream, hands it to me. The ice cream is not being chilled. So the ice cream is melting at this point. So it falls off the spoon. Half of it hits my hand. The other half hits my shoe. Luckily, I'm wearing some old tennis shoes that are comfortable to wear just because I thought I was going to be doing a lot of walking. Didn't do quite as much walking as I thought I was going to do, which is a little bit sad because, you know, it's Dessert Wars. You want to walk that stuff off while you're putting it in. Didn't tell me anything about her product. Didn't apologize for the product. Walked away as soon as she handed me the spoon. Okay, well, I mean, I got a bit of ice cream in my hand, so, you know, I just kind of slurp it back and whatever. It wasn't ice cream. It was ice milk. And it wasn't that good. So I think maybe they knew they weren't going to win and they had already given up at this point. I don't know. But she clearly did not care to promote her business, did not care to promote her product. Had a couple like that. Somebody had some little cake pop things pre-packaged. So they make them, they package them, they sell them, I'm guessing. And that's what they were having there as their samples. Nothing by her booth. Just the table and the cake pops just unceremoniously thrown on the table. Give them your ticket, grab one, walk away. I didn't get one. It didn't even look good. There was one of those roll ice cream places. Rolling ice cream place. That's a chain. They were there as a competitor. As we're walking around, we see one that was an actual booth. Actually set up. Little cover, stand, everything you need. It was nothing but cakes. They were there as a competitor as well. Now I know Nothing But Cakes, it's a franchise. Individually owned and operated, a lot of them. However, it's a huge national company. None of the product that you are selling at your location is your product. It is Nothing But Cakes products, and you are just the distributor, basically. So if you're there, you should be there as a sponsor, not as a competitor. We all know what you taste like, and we can get that in any major city in the United States. It's good. I like it. Is it worthy of a competition? Not even a little. Now, here's where I have another problem with the organization of the thing. Again, $60 a ticket. I'm going to keep harping on that because that's a lot of money to walk around a bare expo center and just get little bitty samples of things. There's no program. Nothing to tell you who is there, who is where, what booth belongs to what person, other than their own signage. So if they didn't have clear signage, it's hard to tell who to vote for. The next problem is, and this is going to be more the competitors than the organizers, but it is kind of both. Those that did have signage placed it on their table, over the tablecloth. So that way when people are walking up there, their legs are in the way. You can't see who it is. So you have no idea who you're going to see, what you're getting, unless they're talking, and then you've got to remember all this stuff, and people are running out of stuff, so everybody's in a rush to get around with their little to-go containers that they're giving them, about the size of what you would get at, say, Olive Garden. They're walking around with these to-go containers, they're trying to get all their samples so that they can get something before they run out, because they spent a lot of money to get here, and they only have 30 tickets. I think there were probably left about 42, give or take, vendors. There's supposed to be over 50. There weren't. So everybody's rushing, trying to get their stuff. They don't know what they're getting necessarily, from who they're getting it. So it makes the judging harder. It makes the voting harder. You don't really know if you're voting for the right person at this point without any kind of program. Now listen, my daughter did competitions here. And a lot of times those venues, you go in there and there's a lot of decoration right by the stage and that's it. But they all had a program. They all had a little piece of paper folded over in half, a brochure, something that tells you who's there, who's competing, when they're going to be on, what level, what group. Dessert Wars had nothing. And listen, if you're going to enter Dessert Wars, you better make sure you have either the best version of what you're entering, or you have something unique, and that's what we're going to talk about now. When you first walked in, the first thing I saw, that was my dog, Chewy. The first thing that I saw was the t-shirts for sale. Right next to it's Milk Bar. I'm super excited. If you know the Milk Bar, they've done shows on this lady on Netflix. You know everything about her. She's a very, very well-known chef in New York. She's got a couple of locations there, and I think she expanded out in New York a little bit. So I was like, oh, this is cool. My wife Dana went there when she went on a trip to New York. Loved it. I have yet to try it. So I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to try this now. And I start walking over there, and I notice there's just 3 jugs of milk. Plain, vanilla, and chocolate, all store-bought. They're just giving out milk for the tickets, so you're wasting a ticket on milk. Next to it was Southern Spoon, I think it was, and they were one of those that had the mousse. There were like 3 or 4 places that had mousse, and it was room temperature, and so warm mousse. Blech. But right next to that was the Tennessee Cobbler Company. Now I have to go back and look at video to figure out who some of these people were, because we have some business cards, but we don't know what business card went with what product. Again, no program available, so we don't know who was there. Tennessee Cobbler Company was great. And let me tell you, they had a peach cobbler. It was just a peach cobbler. But it was warm. They had their food truck outside, but they came prepared. They knew what they were getting into. They knew what they were doing, and they did it right. They had the peach cobbler that was good, had a bite of Dana's, and they had a Nashville hot honey apple cobbler. And this was something unique because it was warm apple cobbler with a scoop of ice cream over it, and then they took some honey that had a little kick to it, and they drizzled it over the top, and that kick is what did it. That's what made them super unique. Now, further down the line, there was some blueberry lemon thing. And I have no idea who made the blueberry lemon curd thing. It was good, and I'm sad because I will never have it again. Not even showing on the video because we weren't close to where they were actually handing that out. They had a couple of different, they were on a corner. And so they had a couple of different things going on there. But we weren't able, I don't have any footage of it, so I have no idea who did it. That was the number 2 in my choice. Legendary Milkshake Company was probably number 3. And it may have also been because it was a little warm in there, and by the time we got over to them, to have something cold was very refreshing. They did have a cash bar there for alcohol and things like that. They had t-shirts for sale. The guy, as I said, was handing out t-shirts. Now, I will say with all of the good, bad, mediocre, there is one thing that does stand out. They do support the Mystic Force Foundation, which is a childhood cancer research organization. Now, I've been involved in different cancer projects for many, many years now. You see behind me on my phone, you see these little buttons here. These are all rides that I've done for the Children's Cancer Research Fund. The Great Cycle Challenge. So they're supporting a cancer research. I'm behind that 100%, and that makes me feel not so bad about the cost of the tickets. You look at their webpage, and it is probably 90% photos of some of the desserts that have been presented in the past. Very little information about the thing. Now, tickets can only be purchased online. I believe it's through Eventbrite. That makes sense because they're probably going to want to keep that to the point where they know how many people are coming. And so they probably only release a certain number of tickets so that the competitors know how many samples of things to make. However, this was going on from 3 to 7 p.m. By 5:30, I would say half of the event center was out of product. We went over to get some macaroons. I had 3 tickets left. I tried to get 3 macaroons because my stepdaughter likes them. I can give them to people, whatever. I'm not a big macaroon fan, but I could give them to somebody. They don't only let me get 1 because they were running so low, and we still had an hour and a half to go. So we left a little early because people were running out. It was just so loud, and the sound. It's not that it was loud. I'm a musician. I'm used to loud. It's that the sound was bouncing off the walls, so it was echoing everywhere. And again, that's because they had nothing to absorb the sound. They had no banners, nothing other than those retractable signs, a couple little banners up by the stage, they were placed strategically so that kids couldn't just kind of wander up onto the stage. I know what they were doing, and that's a good idea, but that left the whole of the other place completely undecorated. The only decorations that you saw were by the individual booths. A couple people had balloons. Most people just had a tablecloth, maybe a sign up behind them, a banner, larger banner, 1 or 2 booths, and those were both the chains. And then there was one cake company we didn't even get to, but they were making it. They were putting what you wanted on it, so it was kind of like go in, order your own thing. I saw some of the cake, it looked a little dry, and I didn't have any good cake there. For our wedding, we went to La Crema Bakery in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Great cake. What they had here at Dessert Wars, dry, not a lot of flavor unless they were trying to do different flavors, and then the flavors were okay, but the cake itself wasn't good. If you have a good tasting cake, but it's super dry, you don't have a good cake. And that brings me to the winner. It was the Tennessee Cobbler Company. We chose them. We loved them. I would definitely go back. I would love to find that blueberry lemon curd thing again. I have no idea who made it. If you're the person who made this and you're watching this video, please let me know who you are in the comments below. I would love to find you again, and I'm sure some of our viewers, when they're traveling to the Nashville area, would love to find you as well, because I am just talking about your product so much. But the winner was the Tennessee Cobbler Company. That cobbler was great. It was original, and it was perfect. And I'm glad they won, and I hope they win the national competition. Now, let me tell you about the national competition in Charlotte, South Carolina? Charlotte, North Carolina. Ooh, geography. It's been a long time. They're going to Charlotte. The winner of the national competition gets $20,000. So I wish you guys luck, and I won't be back to Dessert Wars because I did not think it was worth the price that I paid. Again, the saving grace is they're supporting children's cancer organizations. I support children's cancer organizations myself, and I've been involved in those since 1998. So I do appreciate that they're doing that. So I'm not mad that I spent that money, but I wouldn't spend that money again. As I said, it wasn't a horrible event. It just wasn't well thought out. It seems like maybe it's still in its infancy. I can't find any information on how long this has been going on. It is worth going one time because they support the cancer organizations. It exposes you to some local businesses that you may not be aware of, and some national chains that you are aware of, apparently. But I don't personally think I'll be back there myself. I do think that Tennessee Cobbler Company deserved to win, and I congratulate them. But that's it, one and done for me, unless it just blows up and turns into a major event, or I end up getting a press pass because the channel is starting to gain some traction now. So if I can get in for free, I'll go back, but I'm not paying that much money again. I'd rather take that money and donate it directly to a cancer organization, so all of it goes there and not just a portion, personally. If you like the original music that I've used in the background, you can find that on your favorite streaming channel or right here on YouTube. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you down the road. Let's hit the road.